So we still have a bunch of investigations going on in sexual harassment down at the Capitol, but Randy Baumgardner was saved this week to talk about it from the Independence Institute. Amy Cooke, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Your reader in the Denver Post, Krista Kafer. Thanks for being here. All right, you seem to have a bit of a change of heart in the paper on what was going on in the Capitol. Explain it.
You know, because of my own experience, having been sexually harassed, I
apologized.
Well, I know, and the settlement helped.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
The thing is that I just kind of assumed, came from a place of bias, and just assumed that Randy Baumgardner had to be guilty. I went back, I read the report, I thought about it. I thought, you know what, we can't know, and if we can't know, then how do we condemn somebody?
It's politics. What a stupid question is that? You just condemn them. You read the reports. Where did those reports come from, I ask?
I don't know, but we have an intrepid reporter, Sherry Pife, who got it, and she acquired it, published it on Complete Colorado. After I read it, I felt obliged to write something as well.
Before we go there, let's just set the stage. These are the official investigations that found that these men were more likely than not guilty of their crimes.
That's what the report said.
That's what the report said, which was done by one woman at the Employers Council, an organization that lobbies and works with legislators. So you think they'd be conflicted out, but you know, this is Colorado, so why would you do that? And once those were leaked publicly, both the one on Jack Tate and Randy Baumgardner, oh my God, that wasn't an investigation. That was a discussion of, well, he's tall, therefore he's not as credible. I mean, what did you read in those reports that really got you angry?
So let's start with Jack Tate. And that's where part of my column, which is we failed to teach a younger generation. My generation failed to teach younger women, hashtag not me. And part of it, not about sexual harassment that some of us have experienced, but we have now defined sexual harassment to be, he looked me up and down, or what I found most egregious, he said, you look nice in that skirt.
I like the way you look
that's right.
in that skirt.
I like the way you look in that skirt. And for that to now become social interaction, to now become sexual harassment. And we only know that because the investigation was made public. We wouldn't have known that had that investigation not been made public. So I'm disappointed that my generation has led younger women to believe that when somebody says that to you, you automatically go to a place where, oh my gosh, he's sexually harassing me, as opposed to saying the appropriate response would be, thank you, and then and walk away. I mean, that's you can handle that. But what I don't like is how the report, an investigation suggests that is sexual harassment, and more likely than not, it happened, and that it therefore is sexual harassment because this woman says it's sexual harassment.
Right. The idea that the proof of this is, quote, credibility, and because Jack Tate, according to the investigation, spoke in generalities.
And brought his lawyer.
Therefore it, quote, hinders his credibility.
Right.
Now, if I fired an employee based on that report, I'd get my pantsuit off. I mean,
it's very vague.
It's ridiculous.
And there's no standard there.
But I'm not really certain I like that video of your pants being sued off. But
well, you shouldn't have paid $3.99 to watch it then. If we held criminals to this standard, our jails would be full. And I've got to wonder about the politics of it. Yes, they got Lebsock. We've never seen that report, at least I haven't.
I think he was guilty, though. It was multiple women. The guy was aggressively trying to push people to go have sex with him. That is sexual harassment.
Or it's just Saturdays.
You know, if you want to date at the Capitol, get a Tinder app. Do not hit on your coworkers. Seriously, treat women with decency, treat them as equals. Leave that stuff for the bar and the Tinder app.
But the culture down there, forever, and I do mean forever, has been of that of a junior high school.
And that's got to stop.
All right, it's got to stop. But at the same time, if there's going to be a investigation, it has got to be done to a certain level. If it was a Democrat who received this charge under this investigation.
Lebsack was a Democrat.
Right. No, but but we haven't seen his investigation. I would love to read it. I don't know, and I'd love to read the one on Larry Crowder. So, how do we go forward? First, let's talk not in generalities of the culture, but down at the Capitol. Is this stuff over, or are there going to be more of that follow?
No, it's politics, and if you find something successful in politics, you do it again and again and again until you've literally beaten a dead horse, until they've overplayed the card. I think we will continue to see it. Here's my suggestion, actually, and that's not to say that it doesn't happen, but I don't think you can dismiss what the possible political motivations, maybe not Lebsack, but certainly against Baumgartner, Jack Tate, and Larry Crowder. I don't think you can dismiss those or act as if that didn't come into play here. Because when the investigation says, more likely than not, that this happened, and you've got a tenuous one-seat majority, Republicans do, and you have the complainant being a staffer from Morgan Carroll's office. And
the former Democratic Senate president.
Right, who lost control of the Senate under, I mean, it was under her leadership. But the point being to totally dismiss that as not even within the realm of possibility. But you do agree that the complainant is credible, even though she never turned around and looked to see if Randy Baumgartner was actually behind her.
The investigator didn't even bother to go to the scene of the crime, where Baumgartner said it is a crowded area. There are people jostling around. You need to see this. She didn't see it. So it seems to me, if there's going to be another one of these, there's got to be a better way to do these investigations. A real investigation.
Not just a series of interviews. And I think that probably in the case of Randy Baumgartner, I don't think he interviewed well. I think he was probably...
He was angry, according to the interview, and we have no record of that either.
And that made him seem less credible, and that's not the right standard. I mean, you can really hurt somebody with these investigations, so do them right. And I actually don't disbelieve the young woman. I just think there could have been other things happening there. It's a crowded room, things can happen.
But also in the investigation, somebody who might not be guilty of this, getting angry at the interview, that's not a reason that he's now guilty of what he did before. Exactly. Or what he's accused of. What about the victims? In a court of law, you get to know who your accuser is. We don't know, except in the Lebsack case on a few of these, we don't know any of these accusers. Should we? Should we know if they have a political axe to grind? Why is it that Baumgartner gets rung through the ringer, but the accuser, we don't know who that is?
In the past, though, the victims have been run through the ringer. That's why so many women, myself included, never went forward with the complaints that I've had in the past. Pretty egregious ones. Nobody, telling me I look nice in a skirt. We're talking getting fired for not sleeping with somebody, having my butt slapped, getting a quid pro quo. Hey, I'll help you with your writing career, but you'll need to meet me in my hotel room. That kind of stuff. I didn't come forward. I felt ashamed, even though I was the victim. And I think some of that is changing now. Bad behavior, the victim is not going to be shamed now. The bad behavior, the bad person is going to be shamed. We really are at kind of a change point, and I could see why victims' names are not put forward because of that.
But after this, it is the accused that has been beaten up as well. And I got to wonder what, if this was a criminal investigation, what the ACLU would be doing. I couldn't help but watch the melodrama, the Mexican telenovela that happened on the House floor, 7 hours of Lebsack. So we had there was scripture being spouted. They were talking about how bad the language was, guys crying because Democrat men cry a lot. And we had over bulletproof vests because he's worried about his life, apparently from Lebsack, someone describing the rape of their wife. Now, none of this had anything to do with what the accusation was. Did he do this? Lebsack, as creepy as he might be, was never accused of assault or of rape or of attempted murder, but that's what you are left with when you watch that staged program.
Very true. And here's what I fear. Krista brings up a good point about in the past what has happened to victims, but we need to be careful not to go from justice into vengeance, and that's where I think this is going. I think President Grantham had a great point, and as a mom of both girls and a boy, I worry very much about my son being accused of something that he might not have ever done. But you get that label now. Look at what happened with the Duke or lacrosse case. I mean, absolutely vilified an entire group of young men in for something they did not do. So here's what I would warn, I would caution, especially because there are going to be future victims. And if we cross from justice into vengeance, then it's going to flip the other way. And those real victims of harassment, I mean harassment like what Krista experienced, not somebody said that skirt looks nice on you, but real victims will not be believed because it's going to be the eye roll. Oh, here we go again. Another one of these sexual harassment claims. We have to be very, very careful that this Me Too movement doesn't hurt a future generation of young women who, one, won't be employable because nobody's going to want to bring them because they're going to say everything's harassment, and two, those who really are victims won't be believed. Be careful. Justice can turn into vengeance, and that's dangerous.
Amy is dead on. I mean, that is absolutely dead on. And I think we're just at that transition point where we're trying to figure out what is justice, where is the line? I mean, if somebody's just being kind of creepy, is that sexual harassment, or is that just a situation where you should just confront that person and be like, hey, knock it off? And if they don't, then maybe then you get HR involved. I think we're just in new territory, and honestly, call me hopeful. Maybe that's a bad thing, but I think we might be able to work it out.
I have no room for optimism.
Don't laugh at me.
Let me go over here where there's some good cynicism. All right, got a minute left. So for the younger generation who's looking, and by the way, this is an important discussion to have, I get that, but there is a French Revolution thing going on here now that you're guilty until proven innocent, which can't be. What is it you wrote about? We're not teaching our girls
how to navigate social situations.
All right, in 30 seconds, how to navigate those. So what is the lesson that young women need to know? Instead
of automatically going to a place of bad intentions, somebody says, you look nice in that skirt, the appropriate response is, thank you, sir, I appreciate that, and then you walk out. That's all you have to do. It doesn't turn into, he's creepy, he nudged me, whatever. We have to teach them how to handle normal workplace social interactions that
and
happen.
Also how to stand up and say, that's unacceptable,
right, that's
before going to HR.
And
all right.
no.
And no.
How about no? Just no.
Well, there's no more. Thank you both. Listen for me on KHOW Radio, read me in the Denver Post, and we'll see you next week.